Okay, one more thing to talk about with SSH, and that is using an SSH config file to simplify access to a server using SSH. So I've been using the command SSH, and then let's say I was using an alternate port number. Let's do 2022, David at, and then the name of the system or the IP address. So that's what we've been using to SSH to remote devices. Now, I've been using just the IP address or my name at the IP address, but I can simplify this even more using an SSH config file. So this file is going to be identified in the SSH directory. And it's got to go in the SSH directory if you're going to do it. So it's cd.ssh. And then it has to be named config. So here's my file. I'm going to go ahead and open it up, and I've already created it. So if you don't have one, it just means you haven't created it yet. That's not a big deal. You just create the file, and here's what it should look like. So you're going to have keyword host, and then this is just going to be the name of the device you want to connect to. And it can be anything. It doesn't have to match the IP address to the actual host name. It's basically your nickname for this connection. And then you're going to put the host name, and that's going to be either the IP address or the name of the device you're connecting to, either one. You're going to put the port number, and you're going to put the username that you want to connect with, and that's it. And by the way, you can make as many of these in here as you want. So you just go down to your next line and host, and keep going. You can build as many of these as you want. And then what you can do is you can SSH to whatever name you specified right here, and it will automatically use all of these options. And that's why we like this. So you can create this SSH file or this config file for SSH, and then I'm going to exit here. No, I don't want to save my changes. I'm going to go back into my previous directory, which is going to be my home directory. And remember, I called that one test. So I'm just going to SSH test. And it fills in everything else for me. It didn't prompt me for the device I was connected to or the port number or nothing. It assumes all of that. And it didn't prompt me for a password because I've previously set up certificate authentication. So just like that, SSH test, and I'm into my test system. So that's how we can use that config file to simplify our process of connecting to other devices using SSH. And this is really beneficial if there are certain devices you are going to connect to quite a bit. It allows you to make that just a faster, easier process.